The cold vastness of space stretched out before Captain Jack Porter as he stood alone at the main viewport of the diplomatic vessel Handshake. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass, lines of worry etched around his eyes. Beyond, his tiny ship floated the massive alien fleet, 10,000 warships that had appeared without warning 3 days ago. "They're moving again, Captain," said a calm female voice. Jack didn't turn as the ship's AI, Dot, projected her simple blue hologram beside him. She appeared as a sphere of light that pulsed gently when she spoke. "Same pattern?" he asked, his deep voice steady despite the fear churning in his stomach. "Yes. They're forming a blockade around Earth's orbital stations. No weapons fired yet." Jack nodded. The aliens, dubbed the Swarm by Earth's terrified news networks, had jumped into the solar system and positioned themselves in a perfect sphere around Earth. Their ships looked like massive insects made of dark metal with spines and sharp edges that seemed designed to inspire fear. "Any response to our messages?" Jack asked, though he already knew the answer. "None, Captain. They've ignored all 47 attempts at communication." Jack finally turned away from the window, walking across the bridge of the small diplomatic vessel. The Handshake wasn't a warship. It carried no weapons, only communication equipment and living quarters for a crew of 12, but right now Jack was alone except for Dot. "Show me the latest data from science team," he said, dropping into the captain's chair and rubbing his tired eyes. Dot's hologram floated to the main screen, where images of the alien ships appeared, alongside scanning data. "Earth Defense has been analyzing their technology for 72 hours now. The swarm ships use an unknown propulsion system, and their hulls contain materials not in our database." Jack leaned forward. "What about their biology? Have we figured out anything about the aliens themselves?" "Limited information," Dot replied. "Thermal scans suggest they're warm-blooded. Ship designs indicate they're likely smaller than humans based on corridor and doorway dimensions. And there's something interesting about their communication signals." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Interesting how?" "All 10,000 ships broadcast and receive on the exact same frequency with perfect synchronization. The pattern suggests a hive mind," Jack finished, a small spark of hope lighting in his chest. "They think as one. That's the leading theory," Dot confirmed. "Which means—" The ship suddenly shook, cutting Dot off. A harsh, grinding noise filled the bridge. "What was that?" Jack demanded, jumping to his feet. "We're being pulled toward the largest ship," Dot reported, her blue light flickering with increased activity. "Tractor beam technology. I can't break free." Jack's mind raced. After 3 days of silence, the aliens had finally made a move. Are they targeting other Earth ships? No, just us. They want to talk. Jack moved quickly to his personal locker near the captain's chair. He punched in his code and pulled out a small metal case. "They must have figured out this is a diplomatic vessel." "Captain," Dot's voice had a warning tone. "Earth Defense is ordering you to activate the self-destruct sequence if the aliens attempt to board. They're concerned about technology capture." Jack scoffed. "And lose our only chance at communication? Not happening." The ship shuddered again as it was pulled closer to the massive alien mothership. Through the viewport, Jack could see it clearly now. A behemoth that dwarfed even Earth's largest space stations. Its surface bristled with what looked like weapons, sensors, and strange organic-looking protrusions. "Captain, I'm receiving a transmission, first contact from the swarm." Jack's heart hammered in his chest. "Put it through." The speakers crackled, and then a sound filled the bridge that made Jack's skin crawl. It wasn't a single voice, but thousands speaking in perfect unison, creating a chorus effect that sounded both mechanical and organic. "Human vessel, you will submit. Your species will be harvested." Jack exchanged a glance with Dot's hologram. "Friendly bunch," he muttered. Then, louder. "This is Captain Jack Porter of Earth's diplomatic vessel Handshake. We seek peaceful. Resistance is noted. Inefficient. Your military forces are scattered. Earth is defenseless." Jack clenched his jaw. They weren't wrong. Earth's main fleet was deployed to the outer colonies, days away at best. By the time help arrived, the planet could be reduced to ash. "I request a meeting with your leader." Jack said firmly. Face to face, we believe communication can prevent unnecessary conflict. There was silence for a long moment. The ship continued to be pulled toward the alien mothership, now close enough that Jack could see strange lights pulsing along its hull, like blood, moving through veins. Finally, the chorus of voices returned. One human alone, unarmed, you will be examined. The transmission cut off abruptly. Well, Jack said, picking up the metal case he'd retrieved earlier. That could have gone worse. Captain, Dot's voice was concerned. Earth Defense is ordering you to reject their terms. They believe it's a trap. Jack snorted. Of course it's a trap, but it's also our only shot. He opened the case, revealing what looked like a simple black bodysuit and helmet. Is science team ready with the package? Yes. But Captain, the odds of success are slim, I know. Jack closed the case again. But tell me, what are Earth's odds if I don't try? Dot was silent for a moment, her hologram dimming slightly. Based on current swarm positioning and weapons assessment, total planetary destruction within 24 hours. Jack nodded grimly. That's what I thought. Send a message to Earth Defense. Tell them I'm accepting the aliens' invitation, and I'm taking the package with me. The handshake shuddered as it was pulled into a massive docking bay inside the alien mothership. Through the viewport, Jack could see hundreds of the swarm moving about. They were indeed smaller than humans, with 6 limbs and bodies that resembled insects, though they walked upright on their back 2 legs. Their exoskeletons gleamed under the harsh lights of the hangar. They'll be boarding in approximately 2 minutes, Dot reported. Captain, Jack, there's something else you should know. Jack looked up from where he was checking the seals on his suitcase. What is it? The neurological disruptor in the package. Science team says it's never been tested on actual swarm biology. The effects could be unpredictable. Jack smiled wryly. Dot, when I signed up to be a diplomatic officer 20 years ago, predictable wasn't in the job description. He closed the case with a snap. Upload yourself to my suit systems. If this goes south, I want you with me. Already done, Dot replied, her hologram flickering out as her consciousness transferred to the suit's integrated systems. A heavy thud echoed through the ship as something attached to the outer airlock. Jack took a deep breath, squaring his shoulders. In a few minutes he would be the first and possibly last human to meet the swarm face to face. 1 human against 10,000 aliens. Let's hope science team got the frequencies right, he muttered to himself as the airlock began to cycle, open. Otherwise, this will be the shortest diplomatic mission in history. The outer door slid open, revealing 3 swarm soldiers, their mandibles clicking in what might have been anticipation. Behind them stood thousands more, filling the hangar bay of the mothership. Jack Porter stepped forward, case in hand, to meet the enemy that threatened his world. Jack Porter walked between the alien guards, his back straight despite the fear that threatened to freeze his legs. The swarm soldiers were about a head shorter than him, but their 6 limbs and sharp mandibles made them look dangerous. Their bodies were covered in a dark, shiny exoskeleton that reminded Jack of beetle shells. Steady heart rate, Captain. Dot's voice whispered in his ear through the tiny communicator. Keep breathing normally. Jack gave a small nod, though he knew Dot could monitor his vital signs through the sensors hidden in his clothes. He clutched the metal case tightly as the guards led him deeper into the mothership. The corridors were strange. Unlike human ships with their straight lines and right angles, the swarm ship had rounded tunnels that pulsed with an eerie red light. The walls seemed almost alive, with small movements visible just beneath the surface. It's organic, Dot observed quietly. The ship appears to be partly grown rather than entirely built. Jack wanted to reply but kept silent among his escorts. The air was thick and humid with a sweet smell that made his head feel slightly dizzy. The further they walked, the more swarm aliens they passed. Some worked at strange consoles with limbs, moving too fast for Jack's eyes to follow. Others carried weapons or equipment. All of them turned to watch the human pass, their compound eyes reflecting his image hundreds of times over. After what felt like miles of walking, they reached a massive door that pulsed with stronger light than the corridors. One guard stepped, forward and pressed its limb against the surface. The door didn't slide open like on human ships. Instead, it seemed to part like living tissue, revealing a vast chamber beyond. "The command center," Dot whispered. "And there are a lot of them in there, Captain." Jack's breath caught in his throat as he stepped into the enormous room. It was shaped like a dome, with thousands of the swarm positioned throughout. Some stood on the floor, others clung to the walls and ceiling. All were connected by thin, glowing tendrils that linked their bodies together in a vast web of light. At the center of the room stood the largest alien Jack had ever seen. It was easily 3 times his height, with more limbs than the soldiers and a head that featured multiple sets of eyes and mandibles. Its exoskeleton had markings that glowed with the same red light as the ship. "Commander Krill," Dot identified in Jack's ear. At least that's what the translator is calling it. The actual sound is more like a clicking noise. As Jack approached, the massive alien turned all its eyes toward him. When it spoke, its voice was the same chorus of thousands that Jack had heard on the ship. "Human, you stand before the swarm." The voice boomed from all directions, as every alien in the room spoke in perfect unison. Jack fought to keep his expression calm. "I am Captain Jack Porter, representing Earth and all human colonies," he replied, his voice sounding small in the massive chamber. "Your species is primitive, divided, weak." The commander's upper limbs moved in a gesture that might have been dismissal. "You will serve the swarm or be eliminated." Jack set his case down carefully by his feet. "Before you make that decision, I'd like to understand why you've come to our system. Earth has no quarrel with your kind." A sound like thousands of insects clicking filled the room. Laughter, Jack realized with a chill. "The swarm does not explain. The swarm consumes. Your world has resources. Your people will serve or die." Jack noted how the glowing tendrils connecting the aliens pulsed stronger when the commander spoke, the hive mind working in real time. "Let me tell you about humans," Jack said, taking a careful step forward. Several guards moved toward him, but the commander raised a limb to stop them. "We may seem divided, but that's our strength. We think differently from each other. We find solutions where others see only problems." "Irrelevant. Your military forces are not here. Earth is defenseless." Jack smiled slightly. "That's where you're wrong. We don't always need warships to defend ourselves." He glanced around the room at the thousands of connected aliens. "I'd like to propose something." The commander's head tilted. "Speak." "A challenge," Jack said. "One human against your best warriors. If I win, you leave our system and never return. If I lose, I'll give you the access codes to bypass Earth's automated defenses. You can take the planet without losing a single soldier." The clicking laughter erupted again, louder this time. "One human against the swarm? You would be destroyed in seconds." "Then you have nothing to lose," Jack replied calmly. "And everything to gain. Those defense systems will cost you thousands of ships even if you win. I'm offering you a clean victory." The commander was silent for a moment. Jack could see the light tendrils pulsing rapidly as the hive mind considered his offer. "Your challenge is accepted," the chorus finally announced. "You will face 10,000 of our warriors. The battle will take place in the arena." Jack nodded, hiding his relief. "I'll need 1 hour to prepare and permission to wear my ceremonial battle suit. It's tradition among humans." "Granted. Your traditions are meaningless before your death." The commander gestured to the guards. "Take the human to the preparation chamber. In 1 hour the battle begins." As Jack was led away, he picked up his case carefully. Once they were in the corridor, Dot's voice returned in his ear. "That was extremely risky, Captain, and they've accepted your challenge." "They think it's a joke," Jack whispered, quiet enough that only the sensitive microphone in his earpiece could hear. "That's exactly what we needed." The preparation chamber was a small room with no furniture. The walls pulsed with the same living light as the rest of the ship. As soon as the guards left him alone, Jack opened his case. "We have 55 minutes, he said to Dot. "Talk to me about the hive mind." What did you observe in there? Dot's voice was clear in the empty room. The neural connections are even stronger than we thought. The tendrils aren't just for show. They're physical manifestations of their shared consciousness, and I was able to detect the frequency they're using. Jack removed the black bodysuit from the case. It looked simple, almost like regular clothing, but the material felt strange to the touch, partly solid, partly liquid. And will our disruptor work? Based on the readings I took? Yes. But Captain, there's something else. The commander, its neural signal is the strongest. It's not just part of the hive mind, it might be controlling it. Jack began to put on the suit, which molded itself to his body as soon as it made contact with his skin. So if we target the commander specifically, the entire hive could collapse, Dot confirmed. But we'll only get one chance. The suit's power cells can generate a disruptive pulse for approximately 5 minutes before burning out. The helmet was last. Jack held it in his hands, looking at its smooth black surface. Inside was Earth's most advanced technology, tiny emitters that could generate a field specifically tuned to disrupt the swarm's neural network. 5 minutes to defeat 10,000 aliens, Jack said with a grim smile. I've faced worse odds. No, you haven't, Dot replied, a rare touch of humor in her artificial voice. Jack put on the helmet, which sealed seamlessly with the rest of the suit. The inside lit up with displays showing suit status, power levels, and a countdown timer. Run final diagnostics, Jack ordered, and send a message to Earth Defense. Tell them the swarm took the bait. As the suit's systems came online, Jack took deep breaths to calm his racing heart. In less than an hour, he would face an army of aliens in combat. The fate of Earth rested on whether science team's theories about the swarm's hive mind were correct. Diagnostics complete, Dot announced. Disruptor is functioning at optimal levels. The neural frequency is locked in. Jack flexed his hands, feeling the suit respond to his movements. Then I guess there's nothing left to do but wait. Captain, Dot said quietly. If this doesn't work. It will work, Jack interrupted. It has to. Outside the chamber he could hear movement. Thousands of aliens preparing for what they thought would be an easy slaughter. They had no idea what was coming. Jack Porter, a single human, was about to face 10,000 aliens in battle, and he was smiling. The door to Jack's preparation chamber slid open with a wet, organic sound. 4 swarm guards entered, their mandibles clicking rapidly as they surrounded him. Time has expired, human, they spoke in unison. The battle awaits. Jack stood tall, in his black suit, helmet tucked under his arm. To the aliens, it looked like simple clothing, nothing that could possibly pose a threat. Their scanners had detected only basic materials and minor electronic components, which they had dismissed as primitive human technology. I'm ready, Jack said calmly. The guards led him through a new set of corridors, these wider and taller than before. They sloped downward, deep into the heart of the mothership. Other aliens lined the passage, all watching with their compound eyes as the lone human walked to what they assumed would be his death. Captain, Dot's voice whispered in his ear. I'm detecting a massive space ahead. Based on the ship's layout, it appears to be some kind of arena or ceremonial chamber. Jack gave a small nod. The deeper they went, the more his ears picked up. A strange sound like the buzzing of countless insects growing louder with each step. The entire swarm is watching this, aren't they? He whispered. Not just those on this ship, Dot replied. I'm detecting broadcasts to all 10,000 vessels. They're streaming this as entertainment. Jack's mouth tightened. Good. Let them. I'll see what happens. The corridor finally opened into a vast circular space that took Jack's breath away. It was enormous, at least 500 meters across, with walls that rose so high the ceiling was lost in shadows. The walls were lined with tier after tier of swarm aliens, packed together so tightly they looked like a single living mass. The floor of the arena was bare metal, marked with strange symbols. At the center stood Commander Krill, even more imposing than before. Around the commander in perfect formation stood thousands of swarm warriors, each armed with weapons that looked like a cross between spears and energy rifles. The buzzing sound was deafening now, the combined noise of thousands of aliens all communicating at once through their hive mind. "Remember, Captain," Dot said as they approached, "the suit can only generate the disruptive field for 5 minutes before the power cells burn out." "I'll make it count," Jack promised quietly. The guards brought him to stand before Commander Krill. The massive alien looked down at Jack with all its eyes blinking in different patterns. "The human comes to die," the commander announced, voice echoing through the arena as all aliens spoke at once. The crowd's buzzing intensified. "Actually," Jack replied, putting on his helmet with deliberate slowness, "I came to win." The helmet sealed with a soft hiss, and Jack's display lit up with information. Power levels, target lock systems, and most importantly, a timer ready to count down from 5 minutes. "Your confidence is amusing," the commander said. "The rules are simple. You will face our warriors. When you die, your planet belongs to the swarm." Jack looked around at the thousands of warriors surrounding him. Each one had 6 limbs that ended in either claws or was holding weapons. Their exoskeletons gleamed under the arena's harsh lights, and the neural tendrils connecting them pulsed with energy. "And when I win," Jack said, voice slightly mechanical through his helmet, "you leave our system and never return." The clicking laughter erupted from all around the arena. "Agreed. Let the battle begin." Commander Krill stepped back and a circle of warriors moved forward, weapons raised. Jack counted at least 100 in the first wave alone. "Dot," Jack whispered. "Run final systems check." "All systems green," Dot replied. "Disruptor frequency is locked on their neural patterns. Ready on your command." Jack took a deep breath and raised his hand, finger hovering over a small control panel on his wrist. The warriors were 20 meters away now, closing in quickly. 15 meters. Dot counted down. 10 meters. The lead warriors raised their weapons. Energy began to glow at the tips of their spears. 5 meters. "Now," Jack said, and pressed the control. For a split second, nothing happened. Then a wave of invisible energy pulsed out from Jack's suit. It was completely silent with no visible effect, but the results were immediate and dramatic. The charging warriors stumbled as one. Their coordinated movements fell apart. Some dropped their weapons, others grabbed at their heads, mandibles clicking rapidly in what could only be distress. "It's working." Dot's voice was triumphant in Jack's ear. "The disruptor is interfering with their neural network." Jack stood perfectly still as the first wave of warriors collapsed around him. None had managed to get within striking distance. The buzzing from the audience changed tone, becoming erratic and confused. Commander Krill stepped forward, mandibles spread wide in what looked like anger or surprise. "What is this?" The chorus of voices was no longer in perfect unison. Some spoke faster than others, creating an eerie, broken sound. "What have you done?" Jack turned to face the commander. "I studied your greatest strength, your hive mind, and found its weakness." He started walking forward, stepping over fallen warriors who twitched on the ground. "You think as one, which makes you powerful when coordinated but vulnerable to the right frequency." The commander raised a limb, signaling to the thousands of remaining warriors. "Kill him!" The warriors surged forward, but they moved awkwardly. Now, their perfect coordination breaking down as the disruptive field grew stronger. Jack continued walking calmly toward the commander, the fallen bodies of swarm warriors creating a path before him. On his helmet display, the timer counted down. 4:15, 4:14, 4:13. "Captain," Dot reported, "the neural disruption is spreading throughout the arena. Warrior efficiency is down to 40% and falling. More and more aliens dropped their weapons or fell to the ground. Some began to fight each other, confused about who was the enemy. The once organized army was dissolving into chaos." Jack kept his eyes on Commander Krill. "Dot, can you target the disruption more specifically at the commander? It seems to be the central node of the hive." "Mind? Adjusting frequency now," Dot replied. The suit hummed slightly as it redirected its energy. Commander Krill suddenly staggered, its massive body shaking. The glowing tendrils connecting it to the other aliens flickered and dimmed. "No." The commander's voice was now alone. The chorus, Effect completely gone. What is this weapon? Not a weapon, Jack replied, now standing directly before the alien leader. A disruption field, tuned exactly to the frequency of your neural network. It won't kill you. It just disconnects you. All around the arena, thousands of swarm warriors were now down, their limbs twitching uncontrollably. The few still standing moved like drunk people, bumping into each other and dropping their weapons. Impossible, the commander growled, trying to strike at Jack with one massive limb. The blow was slow and uncoordinated, and Jack easily sidestepped it. One human cannot defeat the swarm. I'm not defeating you with strength, Jack said. I'm defeating you with science. The same way humans have survived every threat we've ever faced. We adapt. We observe. We find the solution that works. Timer, 305, 304, 303. The commander fell to its knees, body shaking with spasms as the neural disruption intensified. Jack stood over the fallen leader, watching as the once mighty alien tried to reconnect with its hive mind. Your invasion is over, Jack said firmly. In a few hours, the effects will wear off. When you recover, you'll find Earth's terms for peace in your ship's computers. I suggest you accept them. The swarm does not surrender. The commander's voice was weak now, barely audible. You don't have a choice, Jack replied. Look around you. 10,000 warriors defeated in minutes by a single human with the right technology. The buzzing in the arena had fallen almost silent. Across the entire space, swarm aliens lay incapacitated or moved in confused, uncoordinated patterns. The battle that was supposed to be the end of humanity had instead become a demonstration of its ingenuity. Jack looked at his timer. 2:47, 2:46, 2:45. Dot, he said quietly. Contact the handshake. Tell them to prepare for extraction, and send word to Earth Defense. The swarm has been neutralized. Already done, Captain, Dot replied. Earth is safe. Jack Porter stood in the HFY, center of the alien arena, surrounded by thousands of fallen warriors. The battle was over, and it had taken less than 3 minutes. One human had faced 10,000 aliens. And won. Jack stood in the center of the arena, surrounded by thousands of incapacitated swarm warriors. His suit's timer continued its countdown. 2:30, 2:29, 2:28. The neural disruptor would keep working for another 2.5 minutes before the power cells were completely drained. Captain, Dot's voice came through his helmet. I'm detecting movement at the arena entrance. Jack turned to see more swarm aliens appearing at the main doorway. Unlike the warriors, these were smaller and lacked weapons. They wore different markings on their exoskeletons. Scientists or medics, Jack guessed. They're not affected by the disruptor, Jack noted, watching as the new arrivals moved with purpose, checking on fallen warriors. Different neural frequency, Dot explained. These must be from a separate caste within the swarm. They appear to operate on a different mental network. The newcomers froze when they spotted Jack standing tall amid the chaos. One stepped forward cautiously. Unlike the warriors and commander, it spoke with a single voice. Human, what have you done to them? Its voice was higher-pitched, almost musical compared to the harsh chorus of the warriors. Jack gestured to the fallen commander. I've temporarily disrupted their neural network. They'll recover in a few hours. The alien's compound eyes blinked rapidly. Impossible. No species has ever broken the warrior link. Well, now one has. Jack took a careful step toward the alien. Who are you? I am Trill, lead thinker for the swarm. The alien's front limbs moved in a complex pattern. We operate separately from the warrior collective. This was unexpected information. Jack glanced at his timer. 2:10 remaining. Dot, are you recording this? He whispered. Every word, Captain, she confirmed. This explains why our intel was incomplete. The swarm has at least 2 distinct social groups with different neural patterns. Jack addressed Trill again. Your warriors attacked our system without provocation. They threatened to destroy our planet. Trill made a strange clicking sound. The warrior collective consumes. It knows nothing else. For 10,000 cycles, They have found new worlds, new resources, new species to absorb. And the thinkers? What do? We study, we learn. Trill moved closer, examining Jack's suit with obvious curiosity. Your technology is fascinating. A neural disruptor tuned precisely to the warrior frequency. We never considered such a defense possible. Jack's mind was racing. This changed everything about how Earth understood the swarm. Are you saying the warriors and thinkers have different goals? We share a purpose but different methods, Trill explained. The warriors expand. We preserve knowledge. It has been our way since the beginning. Around them, more thinkers had entered the arena, moving among the fallen warriors, checking their condition. None showed any fear of Jack. Captain, Dot whispered. This could be an opportunity for a more permanent solution than just military defeat. Jack nodded slightly. Trill, when your warriors recover, what will they do? The aliens' movements became agitated. They will attack again. The warrior collective knows only conquest. When they recover from your disruptor, they will be even more determined to destroy your world. Unless something changes in your leadership structure, Jack suggested carefully. Trill's compound eyes focused intently on Jack. Explain. Jack looked at his timer. 1:45 remaining. In human history, when a leader is defeated in battle, sometimes a new leader takes their place. One with different ideas. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then, you suggest the thinkers should control the warriors. I'm suggesting that peace might be more beneficial to both our species than war. Trill turned to confer with several other thinkers who had gathered nearby. They made rapid clicking sounds that Jack couldn't understand. Captain, Dot reported, I'm detecting signals from the mothership's communication array. The thinkers appear to be contacting the other ships in the fleet. Jack remained still, watching the aliens discuss. His gamble was risky. He had no idea if the thinkers would be better or worse than the warriors. But faced with 10,000 ships capable of destroying Earth, he needed to try something. Finally, Trill turned back to Jack. For many cycles, the thinkers have questioned the wisdom of endless conquest. Resources become scarce. New enemies emerge. The swarm grows too large to sustain itself. The alien's voice became stronger. Your defeat of the warrior collective provides an opportunity. What kind of opportunity? Jack asked. A new direction. One where the swarm seeks knowledge and cooperation rather than only consumption. Trill gestured to the fallen commander. When Krill awakens, it will find the command structure changed. Jack's timer read 1:20. And what about Earth? My planet? We propose an exchange, Trill said. Knowledge for knowledge. Technology for technology. The thinkers have accumulated wisdom from 1,000 worlds. We would share this with humans in exchange for peace, and for the technology you use today. Jack hesitated. Sharing the neural disruptor tech was far beyond his authority, but the alternative was continuing the conflict once the warriors recovered. I can't make that decision alone, Jack said carefully. I'm just a diplomatic officer. But I can bring your proposal to Earth's leadership. Trill made a gesture that might have been agreement. The warriors will remain incapacitated for several of your hours. Time enough for discussions to begin. A sudden alarm beeped in Jack's helmet. His timer flashed red. 0:45 seconds remaining. Captain, Dot warned. Power cells are reaching critical levels. The disruptor field will collapse soon. Jack knew. He needed to act quickly. Trill, I need to return to my ship now. When the disruptor fails, the warriors nearest to me will recover first. We will escort you, Trill signaled to several other thinkers. The future of both our species may depend on this new understanding. As they moved toward the exit, Jack looked back at the thousands of fallen warriors and their commander. The battle had been won, but the real challenge, establishing peace between humans and the swarm, was just beginning. Jack's timer continued, its countdown as they hurried through the corridors. 0:30, 0:29, 0:28. Dot, contact the handshake, Tell them to prepare for immediate departure once I'm aboard, and send a message to Earth Defense. We may have just found allies among our enemies. Message sent. Confirmed. Captain, Earth Defense is requesting a full report on what just happened. Jack smiled grimly as they reached a transport pod that would take them to the docking bay. Tell them I'll explain everything once we're safely away, and tell them to prepare for visitors. I think the Thinkers will want to begin negotiations immediately. The pod doors closed, and they shot through the mothership toward the docking bay where the handshake waited. Jack's timer reached 0 just as they arrived, and he felt the subtle change as his suit's disruptor field collapsed. Power cells depleted, announced. The disruptor is offline. Jack removed his helmet, taking a deep breath of the ship's air. It did its job. It bought us the time we needed. Trill and 2 other Thinkers followed Jack to the airlock of the handshake. Human Captain Jack Porter, Trill said formally. The Thinkers look forward to a new relationship with Earth. Jack nodded. So do I, Trill. So do I. As the airlock closed behind him, Jack felt the weight of the day's events finally hit him. One human had faced 10,000 aliens in battle, and won. But more importantly, he might have just changed the course of history for both species. He said, entering the bridge of his small ship. Set course for Earth, we have a lot to explain. Course set, Captain. Dot's hologram appeared beside him, her blue light pulsing calmly. And may I say, that was the most impressive diplomatic mission I've ever recorded. Jack laughed as he dropped into the captain's chair. Diplomacy through superior technology. Not exactly what they taught us at the academy. As the handshake pulled away from the mothership, Jack could see the massive swarm fleet stretching out across space. 10,000 ships that had come to conquer, now frozen in uncertainty as the balance of power shifted. The battle was over. Now the true test would begin. 3 days after the battle, Jack Porter stood at the window of Earth's largest space station, watching as the swarm mothership approached. Unlike before, this time the massive ship came in peace, escorted by Earth defense vessels that looked tiny beside it. Nervous, Captain? General Adams asked, joining Jack at the window. The older man's uniform was decorated with medals from decades of military service. A little, Jack admitted. It's not every day you invite the aliens who nearly destroyed your planet to a peace conference. The general nodded, his weathered face serious. Your gamble was either the bravest or the craziest thing I've ever seen. 1 man against 10,000 aliens. It wasn't about bravery, Jack said. It was about finding the right solution. Science. Team deserves the credit for the neural disruptor technology. Maybe, Adams conceded, but you're the one who went in there alone. The recordings from your suit have been viewed by billions across Earth and the colonies. You're a hero, Porter. Jack shook his head. I'm a diplomatic officer who did his job. A soft chime interrupted their conversation. General Adams, Captain Porter, announced the station's AI. The swarm delegation has docked. They're ready to begin the meeting. The 2 men turned from the window and walked through the station's wide corridors toward the main conference room. Station personnel stopped to stare as Jack passed. Many nodded respectfully or saluted, even though he wasn't military. The Thinkers explained why they let the warriors attack us in the first place, Adams asked as they walked. According to Trill, the swarm has operated the same way for thousands of years, Jack explained. The warriors conquer. The Thinkers study. They've been on separate neural networks for so long that they rarely questioned the arrangement. Our disruptor changed everything by proving the warriors could be defeated. And we trust them because... Jack smiled slightly. We don't. Not completely. That's why Earth Defense has 20 warships surrounding their mothership, and why the neural disruptor technology has been installed throughout this station. They reached the conference room doors, which slid open to reveal a large circular table. Around it sat the most powerful leaders from Earth and its colonies, the president, military commanders, and scientific experts. And on the other side, 6 swarm thinkers, including Trill. Jack's eyes widened when he saw who sat in the center of the alien delegation. Commander Krill. The massive warrior looked different now. The glowing tendrils that had once connected it to the hive mind were gone. Its eyes focused on Jack with clear recognition. "Captain Porter," the commander spoke in a single voice, not the chorus from before. "We meet again under different circumstances." Jack and General Adams took their seats at the table. The room fell silent, all eyes on the human who had defeated the swarm. President Chen opened the meeting. 3 days ago, Earth faced extinction at the hands of the swarm fleet. Today we sit at the same table to discuss peace. This unprecedented turn of events is due largely to the actions of Captain Jack Porter. Jack nodded in acknowledgement, but kept his eyes on Commander Krill. The alien leader seemed changed, more focused, more individual. Trill spoke next. "For countless cycles, the swarm has expanded through conquest. The warriors led, the thinkers followed. Your neural disruptor technology did more than temporarily disable our warriors. It created an opportunity for change." "What kind of change?" General Adams asked skeptically. Commander Krill answered, surprising everyone. "I was the center of the warrior collective. All thoughts, all commands flowed through me to the others. When your disruptor broke that connection, something unexpected happened. The alien's mandibles moved in what might have been discomfort. For the first time I experienced individual thought." Jack leaned forward. "You're no longer connected to the hive mind?" "The connection has been modified," Krill explained. "The warriors are still linked, but not as a single consciousness. We now operate as individuals within a network, similar to your human military structure." President Chen looked surprised. "And this change is permanent?" Trill answered. "With help from your scientists, yes. We have reconfigured the neural frequencies to maintain coordination without sacrificing individual thought. The warrior collective now thinks both as one and as many." Jack couldn't believe what he was hearing. "And the warriors agreed to this?" "Not all," Commander Krill admitted. "Some ships have left the fleet seeking to maintain the old ways, but most have accepted the new arrangement. Your victory was convincing." The meeting continued for hours as both sides discussed terms for peace. The swarm would withdraw from Earth's system but establish an embassy on the outer moon of Jupiter. Trade would begin cautiously, with knowledge and technology exchanged under strict supervision. As the formal agreements were drafted, Jack found himself standing with Trill and Commander Krill near the refreshment table. "There's something I don't understand," Jack said to Krill. "Why did you accept this change? You were the leader of the most powerful force in this part of the galaxy." The alien was silent for a moment. "When the neural connection broke, I experienced something new. Clarity. For thousands of years, the warrior collective consumed without questioning. World after world, species after species. But to what end?" Krill's massive head tilted. "Your defeat of us using intelligence rather than force showed a different path." Trill added, "The thinkers have long believed that knowledge is more valuable than conquest. Now perhaps the warriors are beginning to see the same truth." Jack wasn't entirely convinced. "And Earth can trust this change of heart?" "Trust must be earned," Krill acknowledged. "But consider this. If we wished to destroy your world, we could have brought more ships. The 10,000 you faced were merely the first wave." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "How many more?" "Enough to darken the skies of 100 worlds," Trill said quietly. "But that future is no longer certain. You have given us a new path to consider." The meeting concluded with the formal signing of the Jupiter Accords, establishing peace between humans and the swarm. As the delegates prepared to depart, Commander Krill approached Jack one last time. "Captain Porter," the alien said, "humans have a saying we discovered in our research. Sometimes the greatest battles are won without fighting. I did not understand this before." Jack nodded. "And now?" "Now I understand that true strength can lie in finding alternatives to conflict." The commander extended one massive limb in what appeared to be a gesture of respect. "Your species is young, but remarkably adaptable. The galaxy will be watching what happens next." Jack carefully shook the offered limb, aware of the historic moment. "So will we." As the swarm delegation departed, Jack returned to the window to watch their mothership pull away from the station. General Adams joined him again. "Do you think it will last?" the general asked. "This peace?" Jack considered the question seriously. "I don't know. But we've bought time. Time to prepare, time to learn from each other. And we've shown the galaxy something important." "What's that?" "That humans shouldn't be underestimated." Jack smiled slightly. "One human faced 10,000 aliens and the battle was over in minutes. Not because of superior strength or numbers, but because we found the right solution." The general nodded thoughtfully. "Science and diplomacy instead of just firepower. Not the usual way wars end." "Maybe it's time for a new usual," Jack suggested. As Earth's sun rose over the curve of the planet below, both men watched the swarm mothership move away toward Jupiter, where the new embassy would be established. A new chapter was beginning for both species. The battle was over. The real work was just beginning. And Captain Jack Porter, the human who had faced 10,000 aliens alone, was ready for whatever came next.